It's Sophia and Ava from Logline, and we're here interviewing Joe Coy about his new special, In His Elements. Hi, Joe Coy.
Hi, how are you?
We're good, thank you. We're going to ask
Good.
him a few questions about his new special, as well as some about Filipino culture and traditions. And we wanted to thank you for taking the time out of your day and sitting down with us and having a conversation.
Oh, of course. This is fun.
So, what was the genesis of this special? What made you want to do it in the Philippines?
Well, I mean, when you have a dream, right? When you dream when you're a kid, you always imagine like the biggest things, right? You don't just think of the smallest ones. You think of the biggest thing that you could possibly do when you dream, right? So when I was a kid, I used to always think that I would go back to the Philippines and do a show and everyone know who I was. Oh, that's Joe Coy. Oh my God, Joe Coy. So that was always my dream, doing stand-up. So when it came to finally getting in the door at Netflix and they were asking what I wanted to do next, it was like it just came out of me where I was like, I need to go to the Philippines. Like, I don't want to shoot. I had a choice. I could have shot a third special. I could have done another hour. That's what they really wanted.
Yeah.
And then I gave them the idea of going back to the Philippines and showing the country and talking about my culture, and then also bringing other up and coming Filipino acts,
Right.
to give them a chance to shine on stage as well. So that was the whole concept, bringing people that were Filipino-Americans back to the Philippines and seeing their culture and talking about their culture and just sharing the stage with me. That's what it was all about. So that was the whole dream. It was just a dream when I was a kid, and it came to reality when I had when I had a choice. Okay, so because I want you to know the history. Like, I don't want you to think that I just got In His Elements. I didn't get it. You know what I mean? Like, I had to, when I got Live from Seattle, they said no to me, right? So I kept coming at them and telling them that I had this hour special that I wanted on Netflix, and they kept saying no. They were like, no, we're gonna pass. It passed like 4 or 5 times, and then finally I shot it myself. So I paid for it.
Oh.
I made Live from Seattle, so that all came out of my pocket. Everything. I wore every hat: director's hat, producer's hat, lighting hat, sound hat, everything. Booker hat. I booked the theater, everything. All that came out of my pocket, 100%. And then after I edited it, that's when I knew when we cut it up, I was like, this is a good one. We got one. But I mean, when you watch Live from Seattle and you see me laughing on stage, just remember, I'm on stage in my head going, I'm broke, I have no money, and 2, the person I want to sell it to already said no. So that's how much pressure I had on stage when I shot Live from Seattle. So when I finally brought it to them and they bought it from me, I cried. You know what I mean? And then that's when my life changed at Netflix, because if it wasn't for that moment where I decided to do it myself, even though they said no, I would have never got on Netflix. And I would have never had Live from Seattle. I would have never had In His Elements. It would have never happened. So that's all I'm trying to say is like no matter how hard or how big the obstacle is in front of you, you got to show people that you can climb over that obstacle and make stuff happen. Don't let anyone say no to you. Make it happen. Yeah, they're saying no to you for right now, but you got to show them why they need to say yes. If you know your talent is good enough, then you know it's going to happen, man. Just no one's your biggest fan than you. You're your biggest fan. So if I didn't do that with Live from Seattle, I would have never got In His Elements. So that's the process of life, man. That's the hustle. That's what you got to do. You got to make it happen yourself.
So for second generation Asian Americans who may not strongly identify with their culture, how can your special inspire them to connect with their heritage more?
My whole thing is I just want to indirectly inspire. Like, in no way was I trying to this is what Filipinos do and this is our country and blah, blah, blah. I didn't want to do that at all. Like, it was literally for me and for Ilmine and Ronnie and Andrew. And that was literally just us as American Filipino-Americans going back to the motherland and just enjoying it, and then indirectly inspiring. You know what I mean? We don't, in no way was I trying to force this down anyone's throat. This is just something that a passion project for me. And it lives on Netflix forever. And if that can indirectly inspire young kids, then that then I won. You know what I mean? If there's someone that's not Filipino and hears what Tagalog sounds like for the first time when that little kid starts rapping in Tagalog, then I won, because now everyone knows what our national language sounds like. You know, like now when I say adobo, chicken adobo, now people are gonna be like, oh, I want to try that. Like those are those little, like, I guess, Easter eggs, you know, like those are just little Easter eggs that I'm giving. And if that inspires the youth, or if that inspires someone that isn't Filipino, you know, to look into our culture, or want a vacation there, you know, that's what that was all about. In no way was I trying to like start something. Like I just wanted like people to be like aware of our culture, and appreciate how beautiful our country is, how beautiful our people are. Just the fact that I'm telling my jokes in English, like that's a win. You know what I mean? Like no one knows that Filipinos speak fluent English. And not only do they speak fluent English, but they understand like the jokes and the little, the words, you know what I mean? Like they get it, they're hip, you know? And for me not to change my act at all was very like, that's a win. Like people are like, oh shit, they speak English in the Philippines. We need to visit that country, you know? I was talking to my friend. His name's Tommy Lee. He's the drummer for Motley Crue, right? I go, you ever play the Philippines? And he's like, never. He goes, I played everywhere in Asia, but I never played the Philippines. And I think part of the reason why is I don't think he ever knew that we spoke English, or that we appreciate rock music and can sing every song that like, there's you know how many Motley Crue fans are in the Philippines that know every song and probably sing it just like Vince Neil. Like they don't know that. And so that's what this special was all about. If I can just give one Easter egg out there for people to go, oh, that's amazing, then we won. That's what that's all about.
Yeah, that's perfect.
I hope I answered the question. I went long on that one.
No, that's perfect. Yeah. So for Gen Zs who haven't seen his elements, what can they expect from the special? I know that there was the singer, Inigo Pascal.
Yeah, well, you know, Gen Z is also Andrew Lopez. The kid's only what, 20, he's 25, I think. I don't know how old he is. Yeah. He's a young, you know, and he's from Iowa. You know what I mean? His parents moved from the Philippines to Iowa to start their family. So he's never even been there. He didn't even know what it was about. So it woke him up. It really made him see the struggle that his parents had to deal with before they moved to Iowa. You know, why Iowa was such a good idea at the time. You know what I mean? Like, how do you choose Iowa? I'm not, you know, I don't want to sound like I hate people at Iowa, but I'm just saying they left the Philippines to go to Iowa. So it's like, but it's amazing that, you know, that, you know, when I was a kid, okay, when I was your age, right? When I was young, I didn't have anyone to look up to, like that would inspire me indirectly, right? There were no Filipinos on the big screen. There was no Manny Pacquiao. You had to research it yourself. There was no Google. There was no Facebook. There was none of that. All I had was my mom, and I had Tito, Vic, and Joey. You know what I mean? I had all these, but I didn't have anyone on the big screen. There was no way of finding out. You know, the only way I found out is when I found out Rob Schneider was Filipino. He was in a movie. He did a movie where his dad that was in the movie goes, "Hey, your mom made your favorite dessert, raspberry babinka." Oh. So if you could just imagine being my age when there was no computers, there was no Google, and then you hear babinka on the big screen, you know, by one of the biggest actors in Hollywood, and my mind blew up. I was like, oh my God, he's Filipino. And that inspired me. That made me realize that, oh, I can be half white, half Filipino, and I can make it in Hollywood, you know? Yeah. So that's what that was to me. So that's what I want this to be for, like, the Gen Zs, you know? Like, I want them to see this on Netflix and get inspired. Like, anything's possible. Yeah. You can do a stand-up special on Netflix and shoot it in the Philippines. It's possible. I'd love to see what they do after this, you know? The door's open now.
Yeah. Okay. So, as you were just talking about, and we know you mentioned it a few times in the special, that you struggled when you were younger to find other Filipinos in your community. and
Yeah.
whether that was in comedy or even just when you were growing up.
Yeah.
So we've experienced a lot of those issues too in Los Angeles, where like everyone's super diverse and like. So what was your process for choosing the acts in your show? Did you consider like where in the U.S. they were from and their age and their gender, anything like that?
Nope. It was just literally when I gave them the idea, those were all my friends. So Ronnie, and that's the cool thing about Netflix. Netflix just gave me whatever. They were like, whatever you want to do, we'll support it financially. So, and I was like, I want to bring my friends. Like, these are guys that have been in the game for so long, and they deserved a shot. You know, Andrew Lopez was on the road with me for about almost 2 years. Joey Gia has been doing stand up for almost 30 years. You know what I mean? Like, he was one of the first Filipino comics I ever met when I came to LA. So it's like, yeah, like immediately when they said, Joe, you get to do this in the Philippines, I called Joey Gia. I'm like, you're about to do a set for Netflix. Let's go.
Yeah.
I called Andrew Lopez. Let's go. Netflix. Let's go. Ronnie. I knew Ronnie when Ronnie was 17. We opened for Snoop Dogg together at the Blaisdell Arena 22 years ago.
Wow.
So it's like when you see these dancers, you're like, oh, he just put dancers on there because that's what they're doing now. They're throwing dancers on. No, me and Ronnie go all the way back. He danced and I opened for Snoop. And we've been friends ever since. I've done a bunch of shows in Vegas where I had, B-boys open my shows in Vegas when I was starting. So immediately I called Ronnie. I called Ronnie right when I left Netflix. I picked up the phone. I was like, hey, man, you're not going to believe it, but that idea about going to the Philippines just got greenlit. So you're coming with me. So I brought him. Illmind, I met him through stand-up. He was always he shouted me out one time, and then I didn't realize that he was the producer for Drake and Beyonce and Jay-Z, and like that's such an amazing story to know that there's a Filipino producer that's getting a Grammy, producing for Jay-Z and Beyonce and writing for Kendrick Lamar and writing for Drake. It's like we need that to be showcased and highlight to inspire us, because if you're a Filipino producer in America and you're just like, or even a Filipino in general, anywhere, and you're writing music and you just think to yourself, oh, it's never going to happen. You know what I mean? Because you just assume by what you see, but you don't know what's happening behind the scenes. And that's what that was. That's why I wanted Illmind there. I wanted him to produce that song and that the theme song. Like, I wanted people to see, oh, damn, this is all Filipino right here.
I thought it was so cool when it was like the just young Filipino kids. Like, I wasn't expecting them to be in the studio, and they were just like rapping.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, I thought it was so awesome.
And they were rapping in Tagalog. The kid was in Tagalog, and he was spitting. He was good. Like, there's people that aren't even Filipino that are like, who is that kid? How do I get that song? And that's what that was all about. Like, I know I keep ranting because I always feel like I have to like explain what the show is about, but that kid lives in the Philippines. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to be a rapper in the Philippines is like, you know what I mean? Thank God for the internet and social media, because now you can get your work out there. But if you would have thought to do this 20 years ago, like, the chances of this ever happening is like, it would have never happened. You know what I mean? And the fact that Illmind is writing and producing that beat for that kid to rap on, like, that's a dream come true for this kid. And now look, through streaming and Netflix, the world got to see it, and it's opened up a door. Like, it's a small door, but it's open. And I hope to God there's like millions of young Filipino rappers that are going to get out there now and be inspired by that. Yeah. And just put it out there. Oh, that kid can spit. I can spit too, huh?
Okay. So we enjoyed how you had multiple clips of you in different parts of Filipino society, like the tenement and the marketplace. That was my favorite scene. As well as aspects of Filipino culture, like b-boying, music, and food. So
yeah.
How has your experience of performing in the Philippines been different from your more touristy travels in the past?
Well, okay. Well, like we had 4 days to shoot, right? Mm-hmm. So we had to do the live performance, which takes 2 days, and then we had to go our field, which was 2 days. And so if you could imagine the time that we had to deal with, we didn't have that much because I wanted to show everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wanted to show all of it, but I also still have to remember, you know, it's still a comedy show. Like I still have to show me doing stand up. Like if I, you know what I mean? So I still had to get that element in there. You know what I mean? So it cut the, I didn't have, what I'm trying to say is I didn't have that much time to show as much as I wanted to, even though I wanted to show everything. So we picked the tenement because I still wanted to show that, hey man, even in the hardest of hardest times, these people are smiling and they're talented and they're willing to do anything to get out. You know what I mean? And seeing those kids on stage and performing, dude, that was such a joy to see the situation that they're from, you know, and the talent that they had, and to be able to, I mean, they were keeping up with Ronnie. You saw it, you know what I mean? It went from them not knowing the routine to killing it live. So, you know, we picked those certain things because I still wanted to show that there's a struggle, but I also wanted to show like how beautiful our people are and how beautiful the country is. So yeah, the tenement, and of course, you know, the farmer's market, you know, and then my aunt, that was my aunt cooking. That was my ate opi. She was cooking adobo for me. My sister was in it. I mean, it was just, those were things I'll always treasure. And I'm glad I got to show it. Even when I drove by the church, just to show a little bit of history, you know, just so that people can see just how pretty it is. I wanted it to be a travel log, but I also wanted it to be an entertaining variety show. You know, I used to live there, right?
Oh, really? Philippines?
Yeah, I lived there. I lived there from 5 years old to 11 years old. I was there for almost 6 years.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. Some of my best memories were the Philippines. That's why I always tell people like indirectly, the reason why it was a variety show is because when I lived in the Philippines, I lived on the military base and they didn't have, you know, their TV is censored. You know, the military is censored TV. So we would always watch Filipino television. So I'd always watch like Eat Bulaga and Tito Vic and Joey. And those were all like variety type style shows. And they still do it now. You know what I mean? Like it's still like variety shows now. So that's why that show was like, I didn't even think of it until after I shot. I was like, holy shit, this is just like a Filipino variety show. Like this is what they really shoot. There's dancers, there's comedians, there's DJs, there's singers. Like it was exactly what Filipino television's all about. You know what I mean? Wow Wow Wee and all that. They always do the variety style show.
Okay, so lastly, we know from experience that it must have been some sort of miracle or magic or something that caused those Manila streets to be empty. So empty. Especially near the airport. So
yeah.
How did you pull that off?
What?
When we were there, it literally took us 5 hours to get out of the airport.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can't talk about that. It was perfect timing.
Oh, okay. That's definitely magic. Okay, well, that was all the questions that we had for you.
Awesome. It was nice meeting you guys.
You too.